It is my God-given right to interview Mr. Weikath from the band Helloween. Yes. Welcome to Tampere.
Welcome.
My God-given right is your 15th studio album. So, did you still feel young?
Yeah, absolutely. It's you're always as young as you feel yourself you are, you know, and I can demonstrate this. I can go like, yeah, yeah, woohoo! You know? So I'm kind of, I don't know, I want to be 19. If nobody wants to know, I want to be 19. I don't know if I achieve it or not.
Everybody can be the age they want to be. And it's easier for the rock stars.
Yeah, you can do so many stupid things.
So you aim to make an album you can stand behind. So how do you think you succeeded?
I'm still a little surprised about what the album has become, but I consider it a good thing, really, because I've said in a few interviews already that I've come to think that there's a similarity in between the God-given right and the Keeper One, because it sounds so good.
Yeah.
And it's a little softer than the album before, in both cases.
Yeah.
And I don't know how else to arrange that in my mind, but it's better for me at this point, because you know, the Straight Out of Hell is a brilliant record. It's wonderful. It's very good, but it's kind of different. It's not the same as the God-given right, and I never knew where to put that Straight Out of Hell in my head, you know, yeah. into which position or where. It's kind of like up there with like my favorite Helloween albums, but I don't know if it's on the right or if it's on the left or whatever. Yeah. And I know where the God-given right is already. Yeah. And so after all the time with the Straight Out of Hell, I still don't know where to put it. I just know that it's great.
Yeah, it sounds like it is meant more for the old school fans, the My God-given Right album. As you said, it's more like Keeper.
I wouldn't know. It's not so different from the Straight Out of Hell either. But the Seven Sinners was kind of extreme, right? It was like a lot more brutal, but there was a lot of good songwriting on there. So wherever to put what, you know, I don't know. Like the Seven Sinners for me is the new Walls of Jericho, maybe, right? And then I don't know what the Straight Out of Hell is. No idea. And I don't know what this new one is, really, but it's cool. It must. There's a particular magic about it.
Yeah. So Helloween has now filled 30 years. Congratulations about that. And how will you celebrate it? Is it on the tour or?
We won't celebrate it except from doing it right now. In this moment, I celebrated for myself the 30 years. So I can always say I did so here in Finland, in Tampere, during the interview with Markku, right? And I celebrated the 30 years. That's going to go like, 30 years, done.
That was the celebration. You have composed many songs for the albums, and in the earlier ones you composed almost all of them.
No, 50%.
No, okay, 50%. But nowadays it's less than that. Why is that?
Well, you know, if I did 4 or 5 tracks now on every album, that I would do, because there would only be Andy Darius as the other songwriter. But as it stands, we are 4 songwriters. And I've been working on 5 or 6 tracks when I decided to rather finish the 3 tracks that I had in a real good way, or be stressed or kind of like on the limit of being creative or the limit of time, if I would have come up with more for this album, because I knew we have 4 songwriters and there's going to be that and that many tracks for him or for me, right?
Yeah.
So at the moment it's enough to do 3 tracks, and then it always depends on the clause has already been done for the last album, for the Straight Out of Hell, but nobody took notice of it because it was a different version. And so that version obviously nobody wanted, and so we got this version that's on this record that's probably a lot better than the version before.
Yeah.
And maybe it's good that it happened that way, you know.
So your singer Andy, now you must be very pleased about his performance because he is now the longest serving singer of band Helloween. So can you remind us and the viewers that how did he come to the band?
Well, first he's been doing his Pink Cream things, and I got the demos of the band before they've done the Pink Cream 69 album. And I always been like a fan of his songwriting then, because I didn't know anyone else in Germany who was kind of writing melodies or tracks like that. And so I was really interested in, you know, maybe having a collaboration from a certain point on. And that point was 1995 when he joined the band.
Yeah.
And ever since then then there's been a few changes, you know. I don't personally, you know, like it so much when he's doing his avant-garde or dark tracks or whatever, you know, but that's obviously part of a different generation who know how to appreciate something like that. It's been something that I had to learn as well, maybe.
Yeah. The 90s were quite hard for the metal music. There was all kinds of disco scheisse and not so much of a music.
Or grunge.
Yeah, everything else. So do you think it was the survival of the fittest? Because in my opinion, only the best ones are still alive now.
Maybe. But that's what it's all about, you know. Even if the 90s wouldn't have been there, it would have still have been the survival of the fittest anyways, because that's what it is, so to say.
Yeah.
You know, really. Regardless of what happens. I want to thank the Finnish fans for their support, because that's like quite funny, because I always do that in Finland. I always say thanks very much to the fans in Finland, right? Because they're very different. Thanks for everything.
Yeah, thank you for the interview. Have a nice show tonight.
Now stop being so formal.
I thought it was the German way of doing.
No. Yes, it is.